Let me ask you something honest. When you imagine being successful, really successful, what do you picture? A bigger home? A number in your bank account that finally feels safe? Waking up without that quiet anxiety that follows you through the week? Most people have a version of success in their head, a level they're working toward. And in their mind, once they get there, things will feel different, calmer, easier, more like they've arrived. But here's the thing nobody tells you. The feeling you're chasing? It doesn't work the way you think it does. Because every level of success feels completely different from the inside than it looks from the outside. And if you don't understand what each level actually feels like, the real emotional experience of living at that income, that net worth, that stage of life, you will keep moving the target without ever feeling like you've hit it. That's what this video is about. Not theory, not numbers on a spreadsheet. The actual lived experience of every level of financial success, what it feels like in your chest, in your decisions, in your daily life, and what it teaches you that the level before it couldn't. By the end of this, you're going to see your own financial life differently. You're going to understand why you feel what you feel right now, and you're going to have a much clearer sense of what you actually need to focus on at your specific level, instead of chasing a fantasy version of the one above it. Here's what most financial content gets wrong. It talks about money like it's purely logical, like if you just follow the right steps, invest in the right things, earn above a certain threshold, you'll feel fine. Sorted, done. But money is deeply emotional. The stress of not having enough is obvious. Everyone understands that kind of pressure. What people don't talk about is the stress that comes with having more. The new fears that arrive when the stakes get higher. The comparisons that start when you're doing well but someone else seems to be doing better. The strange loneliness of reaching a level that most people around you haven't reached yet. None of this means success isn't worth pursuing. It absolutely is. But understanding the emotional landscape at each level changes how you pursue it. It stops you from making decisions from fantasy and starts you making decisions from clarity. And clarity at any income level is the most valuable financial tool you can have. Stick with me. Because in a few minutes, I'm going to share something about the level most people consider comfortable that will completely change the way you think about what you're building toward. Between $30,000 and $60,000 a year, this is where things start to breathe a little. The survival panic softens. You can cover your basics without white-knuckling it every fortnight. And for a moment, that feels like genuine relief. But this level comes with its own quiet trap. It's called lifestyle creep, and it moves in silently. The moment there's a little extra room, spending fills it. A slightly better car, eating out more, subscriptions that seemed reasonable one at a time. Before long, someone earning $55,000 is living as stretched as they were at $35,000, just with a better-looking life from the outside. What people think this level feels like is security. What it actually feels like is a wider treadmill, the shift that changes. Everything here is learning the difference between spending that relieves stress and spending that creates it later. A coffee out in the morning might genuinely improve your mood and productivity. A new car you can barely afford will cost you anxiety for 3 years. Those are not the same kind of spending, even if they both feel like reward in the moment. At this level, the single most powerful move is starting to save automatically, before you see the money. Even $50 a month, even $30. It's not about the amount. It's about building the identity of someone who pays themselves first. That identity is what carries you to the next level, between $30,000 and $60,000 a year. This is where things start to breathe a little. The survival panic softens. You can cover your basics without white-knuckling it every fortnight. And for a moment, that feels like genuine relief. But this level comes with its own quiet trap. It's called lifestyle creep, and it moves in silently. The moment there's a little extra room, spending fills it. A slightly better car, eating out more, subscriptions that seemed reasonable one at a time. Before long, someone earning $55,000 is living as stretched as they were at $35,000, just with a better-looking life from the outside. What people think this level feels like is security. What it actually feels like is a wider treadmill, the shift that changes. Everything here is learning the difference between spending that relieves stress and spending that creates it later. A coffee out in the morning might genuinely improve your mood and productivity. A new car you can barely afford will cost you anxiety for 3 years. Those are not the same kind of spending, even if they both feel like reward in the moment. At this level, the single most powerful move is starting to save automatically, before you see the money. Even $50 a month, even 30. It's not about the amount. It's about building the identity of someone who pays themselves first. That identity is what carries you to the next level, $60,000 to $100,000 a year. This is where something interesting happens. For the first time, you start to feel like the life you imagined might actually be possible. There's real money coming in. You can save meaningfully. You can invest. You can take a proper holiday without financial guilt, spiraling underneath the whole trip. But this level also introduces a feeling that surprises most people: comparison. Because now you're earning well enough to be in rooms, physical or digital, where you can see what people above you have, and suddenly 65,000 starts to feel small compared to someone earning 90, and 90 starts to feel inadequate. When someone else announces they've just crossed 6 figures, the goalposts don't just move, they sprint ahead. The trap here is making financial decisions based on comparison rather than your own actual plan. Buying things to signal a level you haven't quite reached. Investing in things you don't understand because someone else seems to be winning with them. The people who push through this level cleanly are the ones who stop measuring their progress against other people and start measuring it against their own previous position. Where were you 2 years ago? How much have you grown? That's the only comparison that builds anything real. Here, the action step is simple but powerful. Write down exactly what you want your financial life to look like in 5 years. In your own words, not someone else's version. That document becomes your filter. Every financial decision either moves toward it or away from it. Now, here's the part I promised earlier. And this is where most people's thinking about success falls apart completely. Most people believe that once they're earning good money, 6 figures, strong savings, real investments, the financial stress basically disappears. They think the emotional difficulty of money is a poverty problem, that once you earn enough, you've solved it. That is one of the most expensive misconceptions in personal finance. Because the truth is, at higher income levels, the stress doesn't disappear. It transforms. The fear of not having enough gets replaced by the fear of losing what you've built. The anxiety of scarcity gets replaced by the complexity of managing more. And the social pressure doesn't soften, it intensifies. This is the mistake that causes high earners to make genuinely bad financial decisions. They're still operating from emotional patterns: fear, comparison, the need to feel like enough, just with bigger numbers attached. $100,000 to $200,000 a year. This is where the game genuinely changes. The basics are covered. The savings are real. And for the first time, compound growth starts to do something you can actually feel. You check your investment account, and the return from last month is more than you expected. The money is starting to work alongside you rather than despite you. But this level comes with a weight that lower incomes don't carry in the same way. Responsibility. Suddenly, the decisions are bigger. Do you buy property or keep investing? Do you start a business or stay employed? Do you structure your income differently for tax purposes? The options expand, and with them comes a new kind of pressure, the pressure of getting it wrong when the stakes are higher. What people think this level feels like is freedom. What it actually feels like is a more complex set of choices. The action step here is not to make every big decision alone. At this level, getting clarity from a good financial advisor, accountant, or mentor is not an expense. It's leverage. One good decision at this income level can be worth more than years of incremental saving at a lower one. $200,000 to $500,000 in net worth, not income, what you've actually built and kept. This is where something shifts in a way that's hard to describe until you've experienced it. You start to feel for the first time like you have options, not unlimited options, but real ones. You could take 3 months off and survive. You could handle an emergency without borrowing. You could make a career decision based on what you actually want rather than purely what pays the most. That feeling of having genuine options is what most people are actually chasing when they say they want to be rich. Not the number, the options. But this level also brings something unexpected, a strange awareness of how far there still is to go. Because now you understand the game well enough to see the next level clearly. And $500,000 in net worth, as significant as it is, doesn't feel like a rival. It feels like being in the game properly for the first time. The action step here is protecting what you've built while still growing. This is not the time to take on massive risk to accelerate things. This is the time to be thoughtful, diversified, and patient. The people who blow up financially almost always do it by taking unnecessary risks at exactly this stage, when they finally had enough to do something. Bold, but not yet enough to absorb the consequence if it went wrong. $500,000 and above in net worth, and ultimately beyond 1 million. Here is what genuine financial freedom actually feels like. And it's probably not what you're picturing. It's quiet, not dramatic, not flashy, not the Instagram version. It's quiet because the background noise of financial stress, the low hum of anxiety that most people carry through their entire adult life without ever naming it, finally goes silent. You wake up and money is not the first thing your brain reaches for. You make decisions, career, lifestyle, relationships, based on what you actually want, not what you can afford. That quietness is the real prize, not the number, not the things you can buy, the silence where the worry used to live. But even here, there is something to understand. People with genuine wealth are not free from difficulty. They face different difficulties, the complexity of managing significant assets, the weight of decisions that affect others, sometimes a profound sense of purposelessness once the financial chase is over. The problems don't disappear at any level. They just become problems you're better equipped to handle. And that is the real lesson of every level of success. Here is the thing you need to carry with you from this video. Success is not a place you arrive at. It's a series of levels, each one with its own emotional texture, its own specific challenges, and its own lessons that only that level can teach you. The person stressed about survival at $30,000 a year is not a failure. They are learning things about resilience and resourcefulness that will serve them for the rest of their life. The person stretched thin at $60,000 is learning discipline. The person navigating complexity at $100,000 is learning judgment. Every level is building something real, which means the most important question is never, when will I finally get there? The most important question is, what is this level trying to teach me right now? And am I paying attention? Because the people who move through the levels cleanly are not the ones who got lucky or earned the most. They're the ones who learned what each stage was offering them and applied it before moving on. You are not behind. You are not stuck. You are at a level with specific lessons, specific tools, and a specific next move that makes sense for where you actually are, not where you wish you were. Start there, build from there, and trust that the level you're working toward will feel exactly like what it's supposed to feel. Like when you arrive, which is the beginning of the next thing worth building. If this video shifted something in how you think about success and money, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe for more practical, honest financial content that meets you exactly where you are.